Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Yak Gadget, for all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs. Go to yakgadget.com. Eastport Marina, on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake. For all your lodging, kayaking, and fishing needs, go to eastport.info. Now let's get this show started.
What's up, guys? This is the final cast. My name is Brad.
I'm Matt.
So I just realized right after I hit the record button, my computer just said, you got 10% battery left.
Oh, cool.
Might want to plug that in.
Yeah, I'm having my wife go get the phone charger since we're live already. So
It's
she's
just
going to plug it in.
Just going to fail. 2 seconds, Brad's just going to...
Yeah.
That would be great. Like just mid-sentence, just gone.
It'd be awesome.
That's what I was afraid of. But all right, we're good.
I'm Jimmy,
anyway.
by the way. I'm the third voice.
I was going to say, I was about to introduce you.
I was going to keep it a secret just so someone's just like, who is talking right now?
So what's up? What's new, guys?
Oh, well, I just got back from Florida like 3 hours ago. I had to drive back, went down, picked my dad up, got a little bit of fishing in. Not great.
Caught some Ohio-sized caliber fish down there.
I did. It was great, man.
That's an insult.
Some 12-inch fish. I mean, it was awesome.
That was a backhanded compliment like crazy. Dude, it sucks too because the full moon's this weekend. So you if you could have picked him up a couple days later, it'd probably been fire.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, dude. See, that's literally what I was thinking. I was like, man, I've only got 2 days. I had to go to a Bass Pro because I flew down there, drove back. I had my travel rod, but the gods at Frontier said it was too long, so I couldn't bring it. And I was like, well, cool. So I went into Bass Pro. I was like, a Bass X will do the job. I tried the new Bass X. Not a bad rod for $110. Putting that out there. But yeah, and I was like, well, I'll just go stop somewhere. And as I was driving home, I'm like, dude, 3 more days would have been fire.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
What's new with you, Jimmy?
Not much, man. Just getting ready to go to Gunnersville. I mentioned it to a buddy. It's funny, we're talking about full moon in Florida. He's supposed to be going to a wedding in Florida this weekend, and he was taking his kayak and everything, and he was going to basically fish anytime he wasn't at the wedding because of the full moon. And I mentioned we should go hit Gunnersville up, because of the full moon, and just finally warming up here and staying warm. And he hit me with a float idea, him and a buddy, and turns out it's 17 miles. So
jeez.
I've done float wise, I've only ever done 5 and 6 mile floats.
Yeah, same here.
I've done 12 miles on the water in one day, but it wasn't a float, just motoring back and forth. So tomorrow should be interesting. It'll be a new one because that's him right there. Sorry, Garrett, when you listen to this, I'm hitting the FU button, buddy.
No, man, I was gonna say when we're doing river floats, 5 miles is the max for us, because when me and Justin get out there, it takes us even a 3 mile float. It takes us 8 hours.
Part of what we're doing, it's cross the entire Tennessee River, go down 2 or 3 miles, go up 2 or 3 miles, come back out to the main channel, and then it's 10 miles to the closest takeout, and we're wanting to hit pockets. But they've done it before, and he's like, yeah, we'll get there at 6, just plan on being in the dark. And I was like, okay.
Oh, all right then.
So we'll probably get back late, if I had to imagine.
Is that why you're setting up your lights on your kayak?
It was. Then I realized that all of my wiring stuff is still in my truck, which is broke down and not here.
Oh, geez.
It's in Alabama with me. It's just I took it. My buddy's got a 40x80 shop.
Yeah.
I took it there and didn't take anything else out of it. I don't have my cart. I don't have my anything. So yeah, I was gonna do lights, set up my nav lights and all that stuff, and now it's not happening. But yeah.
Oh man.
That sucks.
Just go down to Bass Pro and get one of those giant Q beams and just put it on a stick above you and just shine it down. I mean, fish light, vision light. You can blind people you don't like. It's great.
That's what when my experience with night, I'm usually not I feel like all the light things just kind of me being bougie now, wanting cool little colors in the boat. Because when I
Yeah.
night fish, I don't like the headlamp gets turned off as soon as I step foot in the kayak and does not come back on until I get back. So I usually just stay in the dark. But
Well, you got some big old dinosaurs down there in the water, right? In Gunnersville.
yeah, I don't want to see them when they eat
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I don't want to not see them either. Like this would be a weird. Like I'd turn it off, and then I'd be like, oh, I wonder what's around. I turn it on, you see like thousands of eyes, and be like, oh, cool. I'm gonna turn it back off and just die.
I've never seen the multiples, but I have done the like you're getting out of the water, you look back across the area, turn on your light, and you see like you just pan across and you catch the glow. You're like,
Is there
Oh,
gators
no,
down
dude.
there?
oh yeah.
Ooh.
I've never seen one like I said. I've seen the eyes
Yeah.
in the area that I'm wanting to take y'all. I have never physically seen an alligator, but they are all over Wheeler Lake now because they kind of implanted them to help take care of carp and beavers.
Oh.
So
yeah.
we have them all over, and they get big, but they kind of stay in their own area. You don't like.
Yeah.
It's not like Lake Fork when you like any corner you around may have a big one. But
yeah, Lake Fork's got some man eaters. Like I
yeah,
mean,
huge,
they've got
huge.
some.
It's
like,
huge.
It's huge.
But no, where we're going, our biggest problem will be like snakes and beavers.
Oh, cool snakes. Yeah, I'd rather fight a gator than a beaver though.
Yes,
Beavers are.
and they get curious, so they'll come up right to our kayak and they'll slap. And you want to talk about the people in the city will hear me cuss from the water when it's like dead quiet, and then just wow, and I scream lots of profanities.
See, I think that's so cool because I've done that. I've been out there where there's a beaver just swimming by, and I'll be like, "Whoop!" and it'll slap its tail and take off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're at
they'll
Dale
come right
Hollow,
up and do it.
and he's flipping a rock bluff, and he's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "That's a beaver." He was like, "Woo!" And it just moved a little bit. And I was like, "Stop screwing with the beaver, dude. If that thing turns around, you're gonna die." And then he's like, "I'm gonna catch it." I was like, "I'm gonna leave," and I just motored away. I was like, "Whatever, you're on your own, and you're
Dude,
gonna lose."
My best friend that got me into like the river and got me into fishing when we were young. His dad is born and bred river rat, tough old redneck, ain't scared of nothing. We had a beaver get in the front of the John boat. And me and Jake were just like, ha ha ha, it's a beaver. And we heard a splash, and that was his dad jumping out of the boat and going to the bank. And I was like, oh, this is bad. Like, he got out.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Nope, not today.
Oh man, yeah, I'm not about beavers. I'll mess with alligators. Down in North Carolina, we had one. I was bank fishing, and I was newly minted from Ohio in the Marine Corps. And I was like, oh, I'll go fish this brackish water. I'm like here's the bank. Here's my feet. Like the bank's 6 inches away. I'm casting, and like 2 seconds later, I'm looking over. Like that's a weird looking log. And then it moved. I was like, oh crap. And just free, like I just dropped. I had like a cheap lose combo. I was like, yeah, whatever. I just took my line and broke it and just walked away.
You and Brian.
It was like twilight time, dude. It was twilight. And after I was there for a while, I got a little bit because we used to go out in a little sun dolphin, me and my buddy, the little 2-person, like, and I was 210 pounds and my buddy's like 280. So we're going out there and the thing's struggling with the little 55-pound thrust on the back. And we'd see gators, and he'd go up to him and be like, hey, watch this. And he'd just like run into him. I was like, you're an idiot. Like, we're going to die on this by ourselves, let alone doing that. And then I guess I got a little desensitized. I was like, whatever, he's going to keep hitting them. So we might as well just die. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, dude, he was, Jordan was he's a crazy individual.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like so anyway, while we're here today for this podcast, we're going to be talking about applications on our phones that, you know, products that help us fish or help us learn about weather techniques and things like that. And Jimmy, we can start it off with kind of what you already preferenced, but the full moon, why we were talking about that. So that comment makes sense to the viewers and listeners. Yeah. Talk about that app, because me and Brad don't have a whole lot of experience in it. Brad will probably tell you in his words that he's never thought it's mattered. But you've opened our eyes a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so the app that he's mentioning, I'm going to pull up real quick. I'm pulling it up because I don't remember. I think okay. It's called ISO Lunar Hunt and Fish.
ISO
Lunar. And you can get it on the App Store. It is a paid app. It's a $5 one-time deal. But the app is based around the solar lunar theory, which is, and just a rundown. I can actually might be able to find his name real quick. John Alden Knight, back in the 1930s, came up with a theory about the hunting and fishing animal activity being better in two periods of the day, which he called majors and minors. And what that's in reference to is the position of the sun and the moon in reference to your location at that time, which goes into affecting like tidal and all that stuff, barometric pressure, everything. Basically, a major is when the sun is at its highest and the moon would be directly beneath your feet in its cycle around the earth. That period usually lasts around 3 hours, and then you have a minor, which is the time in between the peaks, and they vary. So, for like instance, today, here I'll pull it up, and we will see. So today, for my area, the major periods were. It started at 10 p.m. and ended at 1 a.m. and the peak of it, which is the dead center, would be 11:37. So that's your like prime time to be on the water for activity. And you have two majors and two minors a day. The other major would be 9:46 a.m. to 12:46 p.m. and your peak would have been 11:16. And that's just kind of like a gist of what the theory is. You can look it up if you look in the app, or you can even just Google the solar lunar theory. It's really cool to read. And it makes a lot of sense because it's not just fishing; it's animals in general. So, and you can sometimes time it. Like, since I learned what this is, like when I was hunting this year, I would kind of pay attention to when I'd see the most activity of deer, pig, anything, and not all the time, but a lot of the time it would coincide with your majors and minors. And then even with fishing, I try to make sure I'm on the water for one of the majors. Because a lot of the time, depending on the phase of the moon, it's not going to be time as you're like if you're fishing a tournament, it might be, at midnight to 3 a.m. and then after your tournament's done, so you might miss it all completely. But you do seem to like. I mean, you obviously have to do the other homework and be on fish. Be in the right areas, the right times. I mean, it's not just a magical light switch, but it does seem
If
like
only.
yeah. I'd pay $1,000 for that app if it was like that.
Oh, 100%. If it could tell me to go out at like mine, I'm looking at mine because I was just going along with you. Because this, like I said, this is new to me. I've always known it was out there, but I was kind of like Brad. I was like, oh, it's science. And I'm just not that person. But I was looking, I was like, man, if I could go out at 12:04 and catch nothing but
20s.
big active fish, that would be great. I'd pay for that.
Yeah.
The best way to look at it, though, is it's giving you the time. So let's say that you get on some fish in the morning, but the bite's kind of, it's not really active. Sometimes I'll go in and check I usually check before I go, but if I've had something that I've seen the bites in the area and I haven't hit my major or my minor time yet, I'll stay in that area based off this lunar theory. And if they're in that area, the bite does pick up. I don't mean that it turns on and they're just whacking everything, but you might go from getting a couple of bites an hour to you might get, 5 bites an hour or 10 bites in 2 hours, just whatever the situation is. But the app itself is really cool because basically all you do is you pick a location and you can use it basically anywhere. Click map it, and it comes up with a map kind of similar like Google Earth. I actually think that it uses I think it is Google driven. I'm not sure, but it looks very similar. It's got a bunch of toolbars on the side. You can mark like where your hunting stands are, pin it like you would your fish finder, stuff like that. But you can you go down to the bottom bar and you click results, and that shows you your major and minor periods, and it shows you your moon phasing, moonrise times, overhead, moonset, underfoot, illumination. It shows you your current weather for the area that you're in. There's a complete weather tab where you can go into humidity, visibility. It says that it registers wind. I'm guessing it does that just kind of real time.
It probably takes it. It probably takes it from the, you're like what Angler does. It takes all that off your geotag location.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't have a ton of experience with it. I definitely don't use it for all the tools that it has because I do use so many other apps. Like I don't use the mapping on this because I like Google Maps, or I use Google Maps with like Navionics, which we'll get into those later. But you can turn on a range finder on it so you can judge distance. You can save like your catches and your kills in it in your trophy room. It's a really cool app. And I'll go ahead and say, I only know about this because of Christine Fisher. Listening to her talk about it, I remember her mentioning majors and minors, and I listened to, I don't even know what podcast she did, but she was talking about it, and I was like, well, it's a $5 app. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And it's definitely been worth it. Even if I'm just giving it a look to know, I'm sure you could figure out the moon phasing and kind of come up with it on your own, but just having it there where I literally like, I'll forget, be in the kayak, move into my first spot and be like, oh, hold on, click current location and be like, okay, I need to make sure I'm focused at 11 a.m. Like, that's not when I need to be running to my spots. Like, I need to be sitting and fishing at 11 a.m.
Yeah,
I've actually had. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good, Brad.
I've actually used an app kind of similar to this before, and it showed like the lunar phases and stuff, and then it'd have like a 1 out of 10 stars for that day.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'd see the 1 or 2 stars, and then I'd have buddies that use the app too, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not going fish today. It's a 1 star." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah,
that's definitely, don't let it deter you. Like,
that
may be when I see it as a 1-star day. That just may be where I'm not as concerned about my majors and minors. Or you could turn it around to maybe that's when you should be concerned about your majors and minors.
That's true.
So maybe it's a bad fishing day, but you can narrow down like a 3-hour major window and a 3-hour minor window that might be the best parts of your day to have a chance of getting bit. I have experienced one of the 5, because on this it's not stars. I mean, you can do it. It's got themes. You can use stars, antlers, fish. I've had one that was filled up, and that was a day I didn't catch any big ones, but we caught a ton of fish.
That's cool.
Yeah,
so it's like you said, it's science. So I guess it's right.
Yeah, sure. It's kind of like what you said. It's not a just immediate, hey, it's like kind of like what Brad said, it's a 1 fish day or 1-star day, I'm not going to go out. It's more of a tool to kind of help you plan, especially for tournament anglers. I can see, because let's say you do have a tournament and your majors and minors are during the tournament. Well, now you can say, hey, I don't need to be like you said, I don't need to be moving. I need to be set in a spot that I know fish are at from previous practice days, or it's just a tool that makes the whole process more fluid, I guess is the way I'm trying to say it. But I mean, don't let it deter you, kind of like what you said, because there's an app out there for hunting. It's called HuntWise, and it gives you kind of the same thing, like, on this day it's 6 deers or it's 3.5 deers. And I've had buddies like, oh, it's only 2 deers, I'm not going out. And I was like, well, I'm going to go out, and then I'll end up shooting a deer. That's like,
and then you rub it in their face.
And I do. And I send them a picture. I was like, oh, it's only 2 deers. I did that last year. I took a video and I grabbed an antler. I was like, oh, it's only 2 deers, bud. And that's, and send it to them.
I'm sitting there thinking, guys like Russ Snyder's that like to cover a lot of water, say that you had like a 1 out of 10 star day, like that makes what he does even more impressive. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That's crazy to think about.
Some people just got it.
Yeah.
Like,
Let's say
he's paid his dues with the fishing gods. Like, there's
I'm trying to, but man, it just doesn't work out.
Yeah. Like, I look at some of these guys and just like, no, I'm just nowhere near that level. Like, I mean, granted, they spend all of their time on the water, but I could probably do the same thing and still suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, some people just got it. And I love how a lot of people, especially, you're nothing wrong with it, but your weekend angler and stuff are like, oh, I don't know how these people get paid to go bass fish and blah. I was like, there's a lot more goes into it than you think. It's not like they're just doing it, but then there's some people who just go out and just catch fish nonstop. I was about to say, you got Ryan Dahl, who will throw, and he fishes the same spots and he catches big smallies all the time. And then you have
same spots I fish.
I know, but then you have
I don't.
Then you have guys like Brad Hicks, who just says, "Oh, I've been trying to please the fishing gods, but when we all go out, we don't catch anything, and Brad catches like 20 fish. So I don't want to hear it, Brad, at all, because I'll come in with like a 50-pound day or a 50-inch day, and Brad's like, "Oh yeah, I'm at like 96 inches." It's like, "Oh, cool, dude. I'm so happy for you."
Those people, I just want to punch in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it on. I'm right here.
You be careful, dude. He's gonna feed you to the beavers.
Oh, I ain't scared of no beaver.
No, you'll be the one that I shoot a hole in your boat out in the middle of our gator waters and just tell you to good luck.
Yeah.
Hey, it ain't my boat. Whatever.
Don't yeah, just blow the demo. It's fine. It's fine.
Mark will be like, "What happened to it? I don't know."
Crazy
Yeah, I don't
redneck
know.
with a 12 gauge.
Oh man. All right. But yeah, this app is it's kind of opening because I like to just learn and read about, bass and whatnot. And I've got largies and smallies, like their activities and how they do stuff a lot down, but it's something really, like you said, reading about the lunar theory itself is cool to do for the simple fact that it shows
Is this
just another tool you can use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a free version also.
Oh, cool.
Well,
So
I
yeah,
definitely just paid $5, or I know you just definitely paid $5 for it.
I did.
Well,
I'm
I'm
about to say,
just saying, for anybody that's listening, if you want to see what the app is like before, you can download that. Then
And it probably still has the lunar stuff. It probably just don't have some of the other tools. And honestly, it'd probably been smart for me, which I'm almost positive there wasn't a paid version when I got, or a free version when I downloaded it. Because
yeah,
I've had it for I think 2 years now.
okay.
I don't even know if there was a free version when I downloaded it because I searched it and literally only the paid version came up. Because
Of course it did. That's how you market.
Well, yeah, and I was like, man, yeah, this has some cool features, but I'm not going to use the mapping because of what we're going to get into later. I'm not going to use, it's like, oh, for hunting it'd be cool to put some spots on, but I pay for HuntWise every year. So
I
and
pay for
Onyx.
Onyx. Onyx is king.
I do both of them, man.
I had both,
I do
and I
both.
realized last year that I used Onyx like 10-1 to HuntWise.
Yeah.
So I just deleted it.
I've also found some pretty money public hunting little ponds with Onyx, and they've got some fish in them.
We're not
and
going
it's
to
great.
talk about that because that's one app that I was not including in this because all of my buddies use it for hunting, and I'm over here scanning creeks and using it to find public access points and stuff like that. Because it's like people are like, I've had people be like, "This is private land," and then I've pulled it up on Onyx and be like, "Nope, according to this, the state owns this 10 feet and that 10 feet, and I'm parked right here. You can call the sheriff." Like, and you show it to them, and they're like, "Oh, well, yeah."
I'm gonna have to get that.
Oh, right then.
It's called Onyx.
Onyx,
yeah.
ONX. It's like $100 a year.
Okay, I'm not getting that.
Well, you can get the monthly, and just like I use it, I pay for the $100 a year, but you
Same.
can get the monthly. But you're gonna want to get it anyway, especially since I'm gonna introduce you to some dove and duck stuff. So you're gonna want to work some spots.
Oh yeah.
You
I'm
just
gonna shoot
shoot
some
dove on the
birds.
highway.
Well, yeah, I mean you can, but if you get caught shooting a electrical cable here, it's a hefty fine. So
Well, I mean, you got to scare them off the pole first. Dude, I don't know where my Onyx app went. Oh, it's literally the giant red X on my fucking screen right now.
yeah, that's all it is. It's just the red X at the top.
I couldn't find it.
All right. So, final word. What's your final opinion about it? Do you recommend it? I mean,
If you're somebody that
100%?
likes to get kind of technical, or you like reading into biology of fish, and someone that's taking it serious enough to like try and understand fish behavior and everything, this helps you just by narrowing down time windows, which you may be able, like Matt said, it's a tool. So maybe you take these windows and notice different things in that time period. Like, okay, the fish were spread out and we're doing this on the west bank when the major happened. They all seem to hit the wood in this depth water. It's just, you can take it for what it's worth, but for $5, like I said, I've had it 2 years. I've never had to repay for it.
Okay.
It's great just to have, even if that's the one thing I'm looking at when I get on the water, just so I can know, like during a tournament, like Matt said, like, okay, I've got to make sure I'm doing my traveling before 10 a.m. when the major starts. Maybe based off my practice, have my area ready where I know my fish are, so I have the best opportunity to catch that limit.
Cool. Matt, do you want to talk about the deep dive app? Because I feel like you could use both of these apps simultaneously to your advantage to catch more fish.
For sure. So
let's just move into that real quick.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know this one.
App, it's a great app, and I'm going to screen share.
We just found it
recently.
Actually, Chris Slifka messaged the group chat like a month ago. Was like, you guys should check this out. So we
Yeah.
did.
Way to pay attention to the group chat, Jimmy.
Hey, y'all get popping off in there sometimes, and I just get behind. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like 20 minutes in, and like I still hadn't caught up. I don't care anymore.
Unless it's
So-
something juicy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So the deep dive app is kind of, I'm trying to get to where it shows you this
You know
right
what?
here. So
I have
the
a
deep
whole
dive
other
app
screen over here.
is it's like Brad said, we were just told about it not too long ago, and we're like, well, we'll use this down Dale Hollow and kind of see what it's all about. And what it basically does, there's a paid version and an unpaid version. So if you don't want to pay for it, you don't have to. For the unpaid version, Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it gives you 1 day or 2 days.
It gives you 2
And-
days, but then you got morning, afternoon, and evening.
Yep. So you have morning, afternoon, and evening. And what it'll do, like for instance, today, just on this little demographic, it'll show they're at Table Rock Lake. It gives you your weather at the top. And then let's say you're wanting to fish, both. So it's saying a bladed jig is great for Wednesday in the morning, November 20th, along those lines. And it's another great tool that you can use. And we found at Dale Hollow that it wasn't something that you can just follow blindly, because it was saying, they were hitting jerk baits, they were hitting cranks, which a couple of us caught some on cranks, and then they were hitting jigs, and Brad, Justin, and myself caught a lot of our fish on jigs. So it kind of helps you make the pattern or think what the pattern's going to be before you get a chance to actually concrete that pattern in.
The thing I liked about it too is like say they don't know the exact water temperature you're on, so you can manually type in the water temperature, and like the suggestions will change. So when I did that, it went from jerk bait to a jig, like I said.
Yep.
So I was going to throw the jig, and then it also gives you the option change if you're fishing vegetation or not, and if the water is clear or it's stained or muddy.
Oh, I'm totally getting this app.
So
It's like a
yeah.
cheat sheet. Like,
yeah, it's like a suggestion, like a starting place to form a pattern.
Exactly.
I feel like it's one of those things, like when you're talking to like the real deal anglers, and they're like, "Oh, you're not throwing a chatterbait right now," and you're like, "Yeah." So this helps me get in on that conversation better.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Damn right, I'm throwing a chatterbait. Nah.
it sets you up, and it's kind of like how iSol or Solunar is. It's another tool, because you can't just go there and, let's say you get all the temps right and everything, and you go out there and it's giving you these techniques based off, like what Brad said, the weather, the temperature, the water clarity, if you're fishing vegetation, the depth, wind gust, if it's overcast, it's giving you those suggestions. But let's say, I mean, we've all been out when we've fished and we're like, oh, spinnerbait, it's spinnerbait day, it's spinnerbait weather, and you throw it and you don't get anything, but then you throw jerk bait and you get bit on it. It helps you get your foot in the door for that pattern. And then, like Brad said, once we changed the weather and climate conditions to what they actually were, one of the main baits that popped up was a jig, and that's what they were biting on, was a jig. Small paddle tail swim baits. I know Justin caught some on some smaller swim baits, and a couple of the tournament anglers caught them on some small swim baits. So it does a little bit of the work for you, kind of like what Jimmy said. It's a cheat sheet. It starts your patterning before you actually get on the water, and helps you kind of create that pattern based on what information it gives you.
See, I probably couldn't agree with this app on some things, because it's probably not going to tell me to throw a frog most of the time when I'm going to throw a frog.
I don't know.
But I'm still going to throw the frog.
See, that's what I was going to mention. I was messing around with some of them, so I did it in increments. I did 60, 65 degree water, 70, just to see the options it would give me. Went all the way up to 90 degrees, because that's about as hot as it gets here in Ohio. And it told me to fish Ned rigs, deep water, like 20, 30 feet deep.
So is it going off air temp or water temp or both?
Water temperature.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes off. Well, from what I read, it goes off both. So it does air temp and water temp.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it has a spot
Yeah,
for it.
it does. It does both for air
Or
temp
check this
and
out.
water temp. So,
How much is the paid version?
I'll be honest, man. I kind of just clicked it because I was like,
$10 a month, I think, but then you can go the whole year for 60.
yeah, I believe. Let me get
like
on
that.
the old.
I'm looking it
Apple
up right
phone.
now.
It's not bad, but I mean, somebody like me, I'm cheap. I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, and what it gets you, the paid, it just gives you a little bit longer forecast. So it's great for Like the paid app, what is it? Monthly, it is $9.99 a month, or it's $80 for the year.
Okay.
But if, let's say, you're a tournament angler and you're going to fish a larger tournament, like Jimmy, you talked to all the guys who do that, the Hobies and the bass and all those. You're looking at, this could kind of set you up for tournament days, and you can change, go on a weather app and actually manually change what people are saying, like meteorologists are saying the weather's going to be.
Okay.
Granted, we don't always know if that's correct or not, but you can kind of build that pattern. Let's say you're hitting a pattern in the first 2 days, but it's going to get a cold front's coming in or something along those lines. It might change some of the suggestions, and you can go out and rely on that pattern at first, not catching any fish, because we've been catching fish for 2 days straight, and then it all changes. Look at this, and maybe it says, oh, throw a drop shot because it's whatever, and then you throw a drop, you start getting bit on it. So it kind of helps you. For me, it nudges me away from things I would normally throw. Like, oh, I've been throwing, there's a lake me and Brad go to. I could throw a chatterbait every cast and almost get bit every cast.
All winter long too.
I mean, it's almost year round. But when it gets super hot on that lake, it changes a little bit to where you're throwing a different type of bait. And this would, if that, in that case, in that situation, this I think would nudge me, because I'm one of those guys who, I have confidence baits. I'll throw them all the time. If I'm not getting bit, I'll just keep throwing them, and it's the fish's fault, not mine. This will nudge me into throwing a different bait, and then, help me create a different pattern for different conditions that I can use in the future. So it kind of helps you long run too.
Something I would say, like you talk about, like the tournament aspect of it, for a lot of the traveling anglers, tons of times, this might be your first time coming to said body of water.
Yep.
And going back to it being a cheat sheet. I mean, maybe you don't know what you, like you said, you got your confidence baits, and, you kind of know what you like to throw and what you think you're going to throw, but you might be like, oh, okay, maybe I don't need to throw a jackhammer today. Maybe small swim bait, something not flashy based off this. And I mean, obviously take it all with a grain of salt. You'll really know once you get on the water. I'd like to know, like, how they came up with the theory.
I don't know. I think it just goes off of like
history.
Probably, because I mean, you're looking at,
like, I'm guessing just like experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's probably the history of probably bass fishing, because you can select different. Like there's two options on it right now. There's largemouth and spotted bass.
I just dropped the hook in the floor. I'm gonna.
Smallmouth is coming too, by the way, on the app.
Smallmouth is coming. Yeah, there's largemouth, spotted bass, and smallmouth is coming. And if you select large or spotted on Dale Hollow, for example, it changes from the river channels to main lake, because that's where a lot of the spots are found, is main lake. And it changes, because I checked that when we went to Star Point, because I was like, well, we're a little bit more main lake, I'm going to check that. And the whole bait selection changed. There were some of that were the same, but like, for example, in the river systems, it was calling for jerk baits, cranks, jigs, Ned rigs. And then on the main lake, it was calling for deep diving jerk baits were there. Deep diving rattle traps, or not deep diving, but rattle traps were there. So your drop shots and A rigs. It wasn't calling for A rigs with the largemouth, but for spots, it was calling for A rigs.
I gotcha.
Which, as we all know, if you were on the water during our Dale Hollow trip, you saw about 800 boats throwing 8,000 A rigs. Yeah. So, I mean, they were getting bit on them, but that's it. It kind of, to me, that was the ultimate concrete for this app. While, again, like you, Jimmy, you said, take it with a grain of salt, but it A rigs were working. They were catching fish on them. Small paddle tails were working. Jigs were working. It helped.
Well, even if, like, how many suggestions does it give you? Like 4 or 5?
I think it's, let me see. I'll get on it right now. I want to say it's like 7 or 8. Like, it gives you a lot of different options to go with.
If one of them is correct, that's one bait you can put in your hand that works versus 10 rods on the deck in the boat that aren't. So,
and
worth it.
I was going to mention also the free version of this app. It only gives you the time of the day you're in. So if you're fishing morning, it'll only tell you the morning. You got to pay for afternoon and evening if you want to use it.
And it only shows you one bait selection, because I was just clicking through it.
Right.
So this is the paid version of it. If I can figure out how to.
Here, I'll do full screen on you.
Yeah, do that. Come on, phone. Stop being dumb.
Here we go. Your full screen.
Works. Yep. So it shows you, like up here, like you said on the app, it shows you your like your weather, if it's overcast, chance of rain, What
Wind.
it's post frontal conditions. It has your wind. It's got your current, and then here it has your water temp. And obviously these are changed because I was playing with it. But scroll down here. This is for shallow water largemouth bass, finesse swim bait, jerk bait, finesse jig, and then crankbait. And
That's cool.
That's just at sunset. So if I go to sunrise, they'll change. Some of these will stay the same. So there's your jerk, your crank, finesse, and there's a rig. And
it shows you the color to use too.
I was just about to say, like, it's like watermelon candy. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it shows your colors, and that's for every time of day. And if you switch it to deep, it'll change it to deep. Like for this in deep, because it's Dale Hollow, jigging spoon. If you talk to anyone down there, they'll tell you to throw a spoon, or they'll tell you, like the next one down here, throw a hair jig. They'll tell you that too. Carolina,
which is awesome because that's a real thing on Dale Hollow. Like hair jigs are a big player on Dale Hollow.
Yep, hair jigs, jigging spoons, Carolina rigs are huge on Dale Hollow, and it has all those for.
It's not true. I tried it. That didn't work. It's a lie.
Well, I tell you, I'm getting a whole box of hair jigs next year when we go, but that's a side story.
Marabou drop shot hooks, Cody.
I know, man.
Jig Master. Those are so cool.
Oh, dude, his hair jigs are sweet.
Yeah, I've got one of them that I used once, and it just looks cooler, all frizzed out, hanging up.
Yeah.
It's like an afro. It's great.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what hair jigs, like, I just don't understand. I've never fished them. I've had one tied on, and I casted it, and I tied a knot like, I don't know, an idiot. And I just watched it sail, and it hit a tree on Dale Hollow. I bought it at Eastport, and Richard was like, throw this hair jig, Matt. You're going to catch fish. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. Tied it on. Next day, went out, cast
tree
it.
Pounder.
Boom! It just popped a tree like 80 yards on the shore, and I was like, "Well, it was a great cast, I guess, but it's gone." So whatever.
I struggle fishing with those, man. I've caught.
I don't know how you're supposed to fish it.
Yeah, me either.
But it looks so
use
cool
as a
in the
jig.
water.
Jeff Little told me, he's like, just let it sit there. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
So you're not supposed to swim it or anything. You're just supposed to like.
He does. He just lets it sit there and flutter. I guess I don't know.
Oh yeah, I would definitely did it way wrong then.
Oh yeah.
Like I swim it,
your own fault.
I'll jig it. Like
well, I've heard Seth Fireter, he bounces it, like swims it slowly along the bottom.
So that's what I was doing.
Yeah,
didn't work.
Are you supposed to trailer a swim jig or a hair jig?
I don't think so.
No, it's supposed to just be the hair.
Well, it saves plastic, so I'll probably do that. But yeah.
So what's your final thoughts on deep dive, man? What do you think of it?
Oh, it's definitely, in my opinion, something that needs to, even if it's just a free option, something just to have in your toolbox, because it kind of like what Jimmy says, if you're traveling, for whether you're going on a fishing trip, you're going on a tournament, it kind of helps you. Like what's on the screen right now, it doesn't just show you what baits to use, it shows you structure on the lake you're going to that you might not see in other places.
Yeah.
There are other apps that'll show you this stuff, but it's nice. It's all compact. It's right there. You just scroll down and find it, and bing, bam, boom, you're there. So I definitely think it's something to keep. And the paid version, I've been happy with it so far. $10 a month for an app. For me, as avid of a fisherman as I am, it doesn't bother me because it's giving me a lot of information that I might not have, or it could push me to try something new that I might haven't tried or thought of in that situation. So thumbs up for me for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I like the app. I probably won't pay for the full version unless I go to somewhere new,
Yeah.
And but like we were talking about, it helped me catch fish at Dale Hollow. I used the jig and I used the Ned rig, deep water, and that's what I caught fish on. So
like it goes in, like it shows examples of the retrieve you should be doing. It shows you, it says you should check shell beds at 10 to 30 foot. It shows you a picture from a hummingbird side image unit to show you what a shell bed looks like.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean it goes in.
It tells you the gear to use: casting rod 7'4" to 8 foot, heavy action, 7:1 gear ratio, 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon.
I didn't know that.
I mean,
like freaking cheat sheet, bro.
It breaks it down. So like this is another thing I wanted to add, and I forgot all about it. It's a great app for your new angler who just bought their first combo or just getting into it, and they've been fishing for a while, and now they're wanting to really, fall down the rabbit hole like we're all still free falling in, and wanting to get into technique specific rods and stuff like that. So it helps that angler kind of. Some people, especially in the fishing community, I don't ever want to feel like I'm like this, but some people will ask questions and be like, "Oh, you're dumb. You don't know you shouldn't use a medium for a Texas rig or something." You know what I mean?
It's so all subjective, man.
It is. Well, it is, but I mean, at the same time, there's merit behind using certain rods with certain techniques,
It is.
and
Yeah.
it kind
That's
of
why I've always appreciated the companies that put what techniques work best on that rod. That's one thing I
Yep.
love about Dobbins.
Dobbins. Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, hey, it does this great. And then if you even go on their website, here's a little tip for you. You can go and it'll show you what it's good at, but it's not the best for. So it'll be like, it's great
Oh,
for
that's cool.
frogging, blah, blah, blah. And then it'll be like, can handle swim baits, but not the best, like stuff like that.
That's cool.
So that's one thing that stuck me on Dobbins from the beginning was based off their recommendations of what it's good for. I could buy certain rods and cover an entire arsenal instead of having 25 rods.
Yeah.
Like I know this one can handle cranks, but I can actually, it's got enough backbone. I can smack a chatterbait on it.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Very cool, man.
What's the water temp? I'll leave this for Gunnersville right now. Do you know off the top of your head?
It says 52, which I would assume it's warmer because I pulled
Yeah, you're much
Gunnersville up.
warmer than that, I bet.
No, hey, we haven't had water over 60 yet.
Really?
Really?
Every time it's warmed up, we've had giant cold snaps and floods for 3 days.
Yeah.
Our
sounds like
water
Ohio.
has been struggling.
Huh.
That's why we're going out. It's been warm. It was warm today.
Plopper.
Oh, see, mine showed. I didn't do the paid version yet, but it was like finesse swim baits up shallow.
Well, that was
outside
that
channel
was sunset.
swings.
Yeah, that was sunset. This is saying for sunrise or morning. I'll say morning. Umbrella rig. You can throw a rig. Lipless and a white spinnerbait, which I feel like a white spinnerbait work everywhere. And it'll, when you click on the bait, it shows. So there's your spinnerbait and your color. If you scroll down, my phone will work. What am I doing? Come on. Scroll down. It'll show you like this, an example where to throw it.
Oh, that's
So your
cool. So like
location,
first half of
the
creek.
creek. Yep. So, and if you don't know what that looks like, now you do. And then you keep going, and then it says structure, for this, look at structure, and then here's your, like Jimmy was saying, my phone is being weird. Come on, light. Well, you can get it. It's free. But it just pops up, and it shows you kind of examples. And like Jimmy said, it shows you everything. It's awesome. It's saying monofilament for spinnerbait, so I don't
Here,
agree
I
with
can.
that, but that's
Let's
just
see
me.
real quick.
I got a question for you guys real quick. So first half of creek, it says, do you guys ever fish like the middle out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So that's just an example. That's showing what it says. A channel swing, outside channel swing,
Yep.
and then it'll show shallow flat, which is under there. But let me show you real quick, just so people get an example. I wanted to show you where it shows the like the rock transitions and stuff. It shows you a real-time picture of a rock transition.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can click on the depth. Trying to find it. I don't know how I did it a minute ago, but it does. It shows a side imaging picture from a hummingbird unit.
Huh.
Yep. I'm about to say it shows they partnered with Hummingbird or with users. I'm not sure because everything they have is like mega side and mega down. So it's showing sonar imagery, which can also be, especially if you're new to using a fish finder, it kind of shows you what things look like.
Yeah, here we go.
Yep.
So yeah, it says rock pile to 12 to 30 feet. And then it shows you a rock pile.
Yep.
12 to 30 feet. That's so cool.
That is cool. I like that.
But to your question, yeah, mouth of creek, I don't just cover the points and the banks. I usually like start in the middle. Like make
I need
some
to start
casts.
doing that then, because that's probably why I don't catch many fish on the lakes.
I'll tell you something that's worked for me is I've never done it on like big creek mouths, but like some of the lakes like local here will have much smaller openings, but I'll actually sit shallow and throw towards the middle. Not the middle of the lake, but the middle of the mouth. And basically go from deeper to shallow. And I've had a lot of success. That's actually, I caught my that 7 at Pickwick doing that last year. There was one grass patch in the middle that was
awesome.
in like and we're not talking deep like 10 foot, 20 foot, but it was deeper than everything else. And it came past that one grass patch and I got smoked.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, I'm about to say I'll do the same thing. I sit in shallow water and I'll throw up to right past the middle. Well, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But anyway, I'll throw right to the middle, and I'll, especially with like smaller swim like Kitex or things like that, I'll swim it back, just because bait fish will sometimes retreat back into those creek channels.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so just to mimic that, natural presentation of a bait fish swimming from main lake to the creek channel, and they'll be bass or ambush predators. So they'll find any cover they can, grass patch like that. They'll sit down in the grass and they'll shoot up and grab whatever you're throwing. So
That's awesome.
Closing
Well-
thoughts for that app. I need to buy it.
yeah, it's money, man. It's awesome. So thank you, Chris, for telling us to get that app.
Slivka.
Heck yeah. That was a cool find.
Oh, for sure.
So, what do you guys have next?
I want to hit a weather one real quick.
Let's do it.
So, a really good app that I found somehow, can't remember where I heard about it, who told me. I may have just found it kind of on my own. Let me pull it up here. So, it's called My Radar, and it's,
Oh, yeah.
if you use the Weather Channel app, any of the, cool weather apps, this one is just like to me, it's extremely detailed. One thing I like about it is it doesn't do the future casting as far as like when you go to radar and you are looking like right now on the screen, you can see that storm moving through. Well, on like the Weather Channel app, when you would press play, it'll show you like what that's going to do for the next 10 hours. This one only will do it for like 3 or 4, which seems to keep it more accurate because it's got such a good refresh rate with I'm sure it's using like the National Weather Service data, the same as the Weather Channel is.
Yeah.
But some of my favorite features, and I doubt I could get them to show up, is it has so many overlay options. So you can change all the basic stuff of your coloring and, how high or low def your map is, and change the lighting. But some of the overlays and layers that you can put on it, you can add winds to it. It'll show
I was
you
gonna say, that's cool.
5 million squiggly lines of exactly how the wind is moving all over the state. And then you can
That's
just zoom
awesome.
in to where you're at. Air quality, temperature, clouds. It'll show you highlighted warning and watch areas if you got bad weather coming. I don't have this problem, but it's got hurricane tracker. It can show you weather fronts, road conditions, aviation conditions. So if you're getting ready to fly, wildfires, earthquakes, which apparently earthquakes is on mine for some reason.
Getting ready for the big
this
shake.
is new. It shows power outages. That's a new one.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
That wind layer is huge.
Here we
for
go.
Kayaking.
I can show you. Full screen me real quick. I pulled it down into the Gulf, and you can really see the jet stream.
Where you at? Screen share you?
Yeah. There we go. So if you can see,
Oh yeah.
that is the wind moving through the jet stream. Yeah,
That's
And then my phone like freaks out and turns its brightness down. But here we go.
I'm just happy it wasn't just me who couldn't
That's
figure
cool.
that out.
Yeah. You can see the few little like rain moving around. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that that's lightning.
I was
happening
gonna
in the
say
middle.
it's lightning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that is. But it's so cool. I mean, it's a very, very technical map, and it's I love it. I don't use any other. Well, that's not true. I use like 4 weather apps, but when it comes to like fishing weather, this is the one that I'm going with.
Yeah.
And then it shows moon phasing, future cast as far as like the next day and stuff like that. Like it does just like any other weather app, and it's free, like completely free. So I'm sure
There
if
you go.
somebody
Can't beat
messages
that.
me later and said I showed you that app, well, I appreciate you for showing me because I damn sure don't remember where I found it.
I just re-downloaded it and I just deleted the wind app I was using because I don't need that anymore. So that's
Like I
awesome.
think that the wind part of that app is probably the best part because it is
Yeah.
like, damn accurate.
We have a place up here that me and Matt fish. It's like a reservoir on top of a hill. It's like drinking water for cities.
Yeah.
And that place sucks when it's windy. 15 mile an hour wind feels like it's 30 miles an hour.
Blowing
Yeah,
50,
dude.
yeah.
Yeah, last year I went when I just got my kayak, didn't have my XI3 on it yet, and I was just paddling around, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna tuck back in this corner, and I'm just gonna grab a rock because I was getting pelted, man. At one point, Brad had to like tie me to his kayak and pull me across the lake, and the wind was still
risky.
pushing. No, dude, I mean, it's like 60 foot deep. Is that a back scratcher?
You dang right it is. Yeah.
I use
This
those.
came out
too.
of nowhere.
Sorry.
I need
Oh,
to turn the
man.
winds on.
So cool. My radar, man. What else you guys got? You guys got anything else?
Something we talked about briefly before we started recording is the for Garmin fish finder users. Most of y'all probably already know about it, but if you don't, Garmin Active Captain. It's 100% a great app if you're using it on a real boat, because you can tie it into all of your sensors on the Garmin for all of your like emergency sounders and stuff like that. So if you're away from the console and the boat's drifting up, gets a shallow water alarm, and you've got your alarms turned off, it'd still notify the phone. Some cool things that it does is you can basically, you have your plotter in your hand, so you can plan your trips, mark all your waypoints, and completely plan all the routes from the phone. And then when you turn on their plotter, they're there. So you don't have to sit out in your driveway, sitting in your boat with your GPS, your unit on, doing that. Something I didn't know until I just read up on it earlier is you can connect your phone to it. I mean, obviously your phone's connected to it either way, but like it will display on your char plotter when you get a phone call or a text message. Like if you put your phone up in a dry hatch or something like that. I thought that was really cool, but it's got community features on it where people will chit chat about, marinas and like little pubs on the banks and stuff like that. So you can share catches. Another cool one, I don't know if any of y'all use this, I don't know what Garmin calls it, but it's like the drawing, where you basically can go over you can go over areas that don't have contour drawings, and it will actively draw for you. You can share those through the app. So if you're going somewhere that doesn't have it, instead of you wasting a few hours doing it yourself, you can check in the community tab and somebody might have already done it and they can send you their draw.
Yeah,
Which
so
is
there's a little small lake, Echo, Brad, for you. That was never, I was looking at Navionics, and it hasn't been, on Navionics, it kind of, it's also from Garmin, it gives you mapping and whatnot, but it just shows up with what basic stuff. It's not really contoured or anything. And then on Active Captain, there is somebody who's contoured that whole little lake and river chain, and you can click on it and shows everything. And it's just a little inner city lake with a river that connects another lake. It's just two lakes and a waterway, and it's all contoured, even the waterway. And so that means some dude went out there in his boat and just contoured it, and it's there.
I wonder how that works.
It's just basing it off sonar ping. Like,
well, I mean, does he have to cover the whole lake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
that's crazy.
Whatever your cone spread is, you can watch it. Like as you're going along and you look at the graph, you'll start seeing contours pop up. And like, let's say it's showing them to you up to 30 feet out. You'll just make a pass and go 30 foot wider and overlay.
So you're using like side imaging?
No, I did it with my Raymarine with just down imaging. It had.
Because I'm thinking if you're in like a shallow lake, it's going to take forever because your cone's going to be small. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, the shallower it is, which I mean, this guy, there's a trench in the middle of this lake. I think it's like maybe 12 foot deep, and everything else is shallow. So this dude was just taking his time doing lawnmower passes all the way through.
I did one of the deep lakes on my Raymarine around here. The whole lake's like 4 miles, probably.
Yeah.
And just a fishing day. I wasn't doing it like actively to use it. It's like, well, I'm here fishing, I'm going to turn it on. And anybody that wants to use this feature, you have to put an SD card because you have so much space.
Yeah.
But if you're going to map a whole lake, you got to put a big SD card in your head unit. But I just let it run while I was on this lake motoring around, and I probably got 3/4 of that lake mapped and didn't even realize it. And
that's cool.
now I've got, and it's, a little tip too is don't be afraid. Like if I've noticed when I'm fishing that Navionics is wrong. Like, no, that hump is not here. Turn it on. If you ever start to notice little things, turn it on and map over it, and you'll get those. Because I mean, the earth erodes, current and wind change things.
Yep.
Navionics is the same thing we're doing. Navionics is paying people in their boats to drive around lakes and map. That's how they come up with all this. So basically, you're just doing it for yourself.
Yep.
So you can. They do it once every God knows how often, and you can do it every year if you want to make sure your honey hole is how it looked last year.
Yeah, that's a good point. Never really thought about that.
I mean, stuff changes so much, and it's kind of like what Jimmy said. It's just constantly changing, and these companies will go out and they'll, again, I don't know how often they do it, but there's been times when I've gone.
I've
over,
never seen
you
a
know,
Navionics boat, so it can't be
I
that
haven't either.
freaking often. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, somebody has done sections of the GMR where they have the gauges down in downtown Dayton and stuff.
Yep.
But it's kind of pointless on a river because constantly changing and your depth is always changing.
and that's when it would be a good time to run the active drawing or active contouring, because if you're spending a lot of time on the river, you can always be on top of what it looks like.
Yeah,
You
that's
may,
true.
like when the river's high and you've had some storms and a lot of current push through, you might see somewhere where it's pushed a gravel bar up underneath and created a hump or a pocket or a new ditch, and you may see something. And I mean, now a good electronics guy probably would notice something like that if you're paying attention to your electronics, but 9 out of 10 people are going to pass that because they're just looking at history. They're not looking at active data.
Yep.
Makes sense.
I'm excited. I haven't used it on the Garmin yet. I used to do it with my Raymarine all the time, but I honestly don't even know how to turn it on my Garmin yet. I'm that new to my Garmin, so I'll figure it out.
Another thing with the active captain is you can update your software and stuff like that too. All you
I
need
watched
is an
Brian
SD
do it
card,
on the
just
water.
pop it in. Yeah, it's
and
easy.
We were leaving the marina and his thing popped up on his screen and said it needed an update. So he like on cell data downloaded it.
Yep.
And then just connected it to his phone and set his phone down, and he downloaded the update while we were traveling to our fishing spot.
Yeah,
that was pretty gangster.
It's awesome. And you don't need, like, I think I had like a 32 gig SD card. You just pop that in, you're good to go.
Yep, it's done. Super
awesome.
Easy. Yeah,
I can't wait to use the app, like, because I downloaded it like right before this show because I forgot, and I noticed the box is sitting on the kitchen table still because I'm lazy, and my wife's probably tired of it being there too. But I noticed like on one of the symbols, it was like Garmin Active Cap. I was like, oh yeah, I hadn't downloaded that yet. So I was waiting for time. I was like reading up on it and was like, dude, this app does all sorts of stuff. So
yeah,
I'll play with it tomorrow.
That's one big plus with Garmin's. And I've used Lowrance, which they've gotten better, but I've used, I have a Helix 10 that I'm actually getting ready to put on the boat, but I'm going to keep the Garmin because the connectivity options they give you and all the stuff, all the tools they give you to put onto it is extensive. I don't think anyone in the market gives you that much options to play with.
Yeah.
So,
and I've been a big Garmin product guy for a while. Like Garmin products are just good. I use their watches, like their GPSs back in the day were the best. Like Garmin's just a good brand.
Correct me if I'm wrong too. If you connect your Garmin Force trolling motor to the app, you can run routes, right?
Yep.
You can like draw a route and it'll take you without hitting buttons, right?
That would be a great thing to mess with somebody if you can get a hold of their phone and just like draw a curly cues going up the lake and they're just chilling on their phone, letting it, heading lock, and then
take
they're
him,
yeah,
take him up to this point that's not underwater right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like trolling motors in the last few years. You could just have them do contour following to where they'll follow a contour, which is cool. But then the Force came out and it gave you option on your phone to create your own path to follow. So maybe you're not wanting to follow that contour. You want to follow in between two contour lines. You can just set that up and it will follow. You just draw it out and it'll follow up and you can bring it back around and fish back. I mean, it's
I
wonder if anybody's put one of those. I was going to say, I wonder if anybody's tried to put one of those on a kayak. I've heard, I don't know about it. I know that is it Lowrance that has the Ghost?
The Ghost, yeah.
I was talking to Brad Hurleboss about that and he's like, dude, that is a beefy, heavy unit. Like
dude,
a monster.
I was at Bass Pro a couple days ago and I looked at it and I was just staring at it. And the person came over, like the associate, and they're like, so is there anything to help you with, sir? I was like, I'm just trying to figure out if I can fit this on a kayak. He was like, I was like, how much does it weigh? He's like, I don't know. I was like, all right, I'll look it up. So I looked it up. Yeah, man, it's not possible, in my opinion. Like you not bringing anything else with you.
Yeah, that thing's pretty
what
huge.
they weigh. I did get to see them run at the Classic. I can't remember. I guess it was 2 years ago and they were here. They had them in their little, like, the little tanks. And you could walk up the little stage, put your foot on the pedal, and you could run it and turn it up real high. And those two, the Ghost and the Garmin unit, run they're crisp.
Oh, they're super. And the Ghost is quiet. The Ghost is quieter, in my opinion, than the Force, but it weighs 86 pounds. So, yeah, that's I don't think. I mean, you put that on a 14-foot John boat, and you're
Oh,
still.
dude, I'm
tipping.
sure like, we tell Brian about this. He'll put it on there. He's gonna prove that you can put 600-pound capacity in his unlimited.
Yeah,
Like my guy carries so much gear.
yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, I mean, somebody should try it. If anybody's gonna do it, just have him do it.
Garmin, you should
Yeah.
send me one. And if we sink my boat, we will not post the content. That way you don't look bad. But
Yeah.
send me
But we
one.
can-
We'll try.
Or better yet, Garmin make a force for a kayak.
We'll do that too, but I want to try the full size one first.
It's a cable driven pedal system.
Does
Well, I
theirs
guess
does their self deploy? Who does that?
It self-deployed. The Force and the Ghost does. So does the Minn Kota Ultrex or the Altera. But those are cable driven. That's why they're so heavy. They're they're dumb. They're really dumb heavy. So
Cool motors though.
for sure.
I think that they'll start to pick up on like all the freaking money Motor Guide's making right now.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And like I guarantee you within the next 2 years, iCast, you'll see one.
yeah.
That'd
You
be- I
have
mean,
to. People, they'd be stupid
mean,
not to.
Like
They
I would
be super-
love the Garmin one for a kayak. I don't want a bow mount. I don't like crap in front of me. But just for the feature you're talking about, I will pull that app up and draw that fishing trip that whole day, and I will
Heck
not touch
yeah.
anything
Yeah,
but
just
go.
just leave it alone. All you got to do is change it. Like if you find a spot you want to fish a little bit, just change your speeds or pause it and then restart it after you're done fishing that spot and then keep moving. Like it would just be so easy. Like Motor Guide has heading lock and it works well to an extent. I mean, if you go too fast, it likes to go
Zigzag.
to
Yeah.
Neverland, and if you go too fast, it likes to make you feel like you're gonna die. But because on my kayak was lighted that RS, man, it she hauls. But yeah, dude, it when it jinks like that, it's like I'm gonna fall out my boat. But on a medium setting speed, I can just put heading lock on and then put my remote down and retie stuff and just look up occasionally, make sure I'm not gonna get like schwacked by a boat. But that's about it.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, the whole way back from Dale Hollow when we were getting out, I put heading lock on and I was just looking through plastics. Like I have a video on my Instagram, and that's what I was doing. I put heading lock on and I just started looking through stuff.
Yeah.
Just think about being able to map. Like everybody's all about hands free, like foot control steering and stuff like that. So it's more time on the reel. Think about taking the time and drawing out your whole plan for the day outside of when you're moving spots, but being able to pause and adjust your speed. I mean, you don't have to take your hands off the reel.
Yeah.
Like
No, it does everything for you. I mean, it's
that'll be a
done.
$2,000, $3,000 kayak motor, but they'll sell.
Oh yeah, they'll sell. And then I mean they'll just like anything that's brand new. I mean the Motor Guides came out and they're still what for the XI3 with spot lock. I think it's $12.99. I think they go for.
That's 11
Yeah.
or $12.99. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the next couple of years because they're selling well. I mean, people are putting them on everything. I mean, I had an Old Town. The only reason I got rid of it, well, multiple reasons, but one of the reasons I got rid of it is because you couldn't do anything to it. But now you're putting them on those too. Like companies are going to start realizing kayak fishing is starting to take off, and you'll start, like you said, in 2 years you'll see Lowrance have one. Minn Kota's got to have one. They already have one in the Old Town, so they got to put one for everybody else. I mean,
You would think that with them already having a platform built around one of their trolling motors, they would just take their like the Altera or whatever their fancy one is,
it's all tricks, yeah.
chop it down and put it as an option for an upgrade for the autopilot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like extra $1,000, we'll throw this one in it. Hell yeah.
I mean, that would be all. And they've already been doing that. Minn Kota is one of those companies that, because they kind of realized people were putting trolling motors on kayaks before it was big, and you could take it to Minn Kota dealer and they would chop your shaft down for you and still honor your warranty. Like they'd still honor the shaft's warranty.
That's
so if you had, let's say you bought a 42-inch shaft for your bass boat and you're like, I'm gonna put that on kayak, you could take it to a dealer, say, hey, I want to cut this down to 31 inches or whatever you want. They will cut it for you, and your shaft still has a lifetime warranty on it.
That's the same with a Motor Guide too.
Mm-hmm.
If you
I
take
didn't
it
know
to
that.
their authorized that's the only time you can cut the shaft for a Motor Guide.
Yep. Same with Minn Kota. If you do it yourself, which you can with a hacksaw, don't ask me how I know how to do
tubing
that. But
cutter.
you can.
Tubing cutter, hacksaw.
Yeah, hacksaw works fine.
Jesus Christ.
Angle grinder.
Yeah. Why are all the wires cut short?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you just got to pay attention to what you're doing. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're paying attention to the angle grinder. You're done. Like,
Well, yeah, okay. I used a hacksaw, but I'll take that back.
That'd have been
I
a
can either
fun
confirm
video.
or deny I used a hacksaw, but yeah, it works. But I mean, it's coming. Like you said, next couple of years you'll start seeing a lot of big boat tech coming to small boats. And
well, the only
kayaks.
thing that would probably hold that, I guarantee you, those are all 36-volt systems.
They are 36-volt systems. The Force comes in a 24, which you can get a 100 amp hour 24-volt battery, and works fine. Bio power for the win.
Yeah.
Or BO power for the win. Because they have a
Bio
24-volt. Yep, BioNO, whatever. I can't pronounce it. But BioNO. Great batteries. I just can't pronounce it.
BioNO.
But they have a 24-volt 100 amp hour. And
it still weighs less than a lead acid battery. It's 43 pounds, I think.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's a whole nother show. We need to do all that about lithium, all the different.
Again,
we did that once.
Yeah.
Hey, that was like
we
mine
just
and
need to keep
Brad's
doing
best show. That and
Yeah,
then what was it? Cameras? Is that what
Yeah,
we
the
did?
camera mounts. Yeah, GoPros and all that stuff.
Yeah,
That
we
was
did.
good.
Which we came up with that like 32 seconds before we pressed record. Like we were
Yep.
recording. He's like, "What are we going to talk about?" And I was like, "I don't know, GoPros." He's like,
GoPros. And that market's blown up. You look at just the outdoor industry alone. What is that company? They make one for you did a show before I came on this the final cast. Tacticam.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Tacticam, they have one like for bows, rifles, and fishing, and it's just blown up. A lot of other companies are starting to make, fishing specific cameras for stuff. I mean, the market's blowing up again, which is great.
Yep. I agree.
I need another job.
I know, me too.
Me too.
Like if it's going the direction we're talking about, like we will be seeing these $20,000 rigged kayaks quick.
Yeah. It's gonna be crazy.
Well, I think was it at the Classic? Somebody had a Hobie that was already rigged out, ready to go for $20K.
Yep. And the guy made the video. He was like, $20,000 for this kayak? There's no way.
Yeah.
I mean, it had fancy electronics on it and tons of stuff, but
lights and motors.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. But I don't know. I guess I got a couple of honorary mentions here. I'm not going to go like into super.
That's what I was going to say. I've got a few to mention that you
same.
don't really need any explanation, but kind of my favorites. But you go first.
Well, everybody knows I'm a big river guy, so I stick to a lot of river apps. I check gauges. We did a show with USGS guy from Columbus. So Rivercast and River Data, those are the two apps that I use for the river gauges and stuff. And then there's another one called Go Paddling. And each user can mark access points and stuff on the river. So if somebody goes under a bridge and they see a dirt path leading up to the road, you can mark it as an access point, and you can see it on the map and be like, "Oh, I can take out there. I can put in there." I feel
like most kayak fishermen are definitely not doing that.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're
not. Like, no, that's my spot.
Yeah.
I will say I've actually sent that to a couple new kayak anglers. They just got into it and they're like, "Oh, where do I drop in?" And I was like, "Hey man, check out this app, Go Paddling. It shows some drop ins." He's like, "Couldn't you just tell me where you drop in?" I was like, "I could, but I'm not going to."
Yeah, that's what I mean. They have a great Miami water trail map that I use, and it shows all the access points. But Go Paddling shows like newer access points that people have made. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Sweet.
So it's cool. It's more. It's better when you're on the northern stretches, I guess, because like there's less access points up there. You got to go miles before you can hit one.
I'm curious to see if it's got any info like in my area down here.
It might,
because we have a lot of wreck kayak stuff. I mean, which that's who's sharing those points. That's info that I would need.
There you go. I'm about to say, that's taken off too.
Well, those are my two honorary mentions. So,
okay,
those were actually going to be my honorary mentions too for rivers. Was Rivercast and then Go Paddling, just because the Go Paddling app is instrumental for people who are new to kayak fishing, or if you're going somewhere that you don't know, hey, I'm bringing my kayak down, I want to hit a river. Well, you can go to the Go Paddling app and see where you can drop in. So it makes it easier because it has, parking available here and things like that. So it's a great app.
I've got a couple. Most of them are pretty obvious, but if you got any new listeners or people just kind of dabbling in this, you're familiar with Navionics on your graph on your unit. Get the Navionics app. Do a lot of your homework at home. You can do it on your computer with the web app. Great app. Looks just like the setup on your unit. Google Maps is my go-to mapping. I just think it's a little better than Apple Maps. So if you've never really played with Google Maps, you should definitely do that. And then most obvious to most people would be Google Earth.
Yeah.
But Google Earth is fantastic for anybody that hasn't downloaded Google Earth. I think it's Pro, and you can do the historical data, and you can dial it back. You can you could Google and say, okay, like right now the river's down this much. You could Google find historical data that would say February of 94 it was similar conditions. You can go on Google Earth, you can click on it, you can pull it back to February or somewhere near that, because you don't type in the exact date, but it'll have, most of the time there's tons of data that you can go through, and it'll show you things. You can look when the water's down and see a roadbed or see rock piles. And then when it's flooded, you can see where certain areas, like I've used it before when there's an area that's normally not accessible. And then I noticed that on a high water year, you could float right through the trees, and then went and checked it, and you could. I floated right through the trees, and then basically you're in a pond, but it's navigable by water now because of the water level.
Yep.
Yeah, Matt, there's if you use that feature on Google Earth, you can go back to Cedar Creek when they were building the marina, and you can see how low the lake was. It's pretty crazy.
Yep. I've used it to see where old rivers are, or old
dams
are at, and then actually it'll show you some of the roads that are under that water now in that lake are really deep, but at one point they were super shallow, and you see where the whole road was at. And I've caught fish off the roads. It's awesome.
Yep,
that is cool.
Probably my favorite feature on Google Earth is the distance, where you can go in and you can, instead of just doing straight line distance, you can go in and put 500 points if you're curving through a creek, and it'll give you exact distance data. And
I've used that a few times.
I use it all the time.
So I've actually, when I track how many miles I've done on my river, and I've actually used that feature from the northernmost part down to the southernmost part. I've hit almost 85 miles on my river so far.
Just in total, ever? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, in total.
How much of your river you? Yeah.
No, one trip.
I was fixing to say, shit, get off the water.
He just never stopped.
I found out that the Garmin does that I didn't know. As I clicked on the gauge cluster little thing on it, and it's got a trip meter.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? So now I don't have to wonder how many miles I went on the river or go back and look. I just get done with the fishing day, click on the gauges, be like, 12.4, reset. Or you can be like, how many miles did I do this month?
I guess I should throw that in there. That Angler does it too. If you hit the logging button, it tracks your whole trip and tells you how many miles after you're done.
I'm actually surprised we didn't talk about that.
Well, we had a whole show about it once. Yeah, we had a whole show about it once with Derek.
Angler's like an app you really dive deep into, because it has a ton of different options to go into, a ton of different logging options. It doesn't have to be fishing trips.
It's completely different now from when we had Derek on, so maybe we should do another show.
Maybe we should get them to get involved with the podcast again.
Yeah,
because I think they were part of the a sponsor of Paddle and Fin when I first started.
Yep.
I think that's how a lot of everybody had their buttons.
Yeah, they had a feature in the app where it showed podcast, and our podcast was in that feed. People scrolling through could see our podcasts.
Oh yeah, we definitely need to get back if they're going to market that way.
It was pretty cool.
It's like a no-brainer.
Oh yeah. But closing thoughts, gentlemen.
It's been fun. It's been fun. It's been real, but it hasn't been real fun.
I mean, speak for yourself. I've enjoyed it.
I mean, I've had fun. I've had a good time.
No, great show. It's kind of cool that we all kind of taught each other an app, or before the show, telling Matt that you could connect your phone all the way to the Garmin. He's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I had no clue. I've been using them for years, and I was like, I had Active Captain. Never knew I could put my phone on to where I could see text messages.
Well, that
So
that does
now
get
I can-
annoying, so I turned it off. Just FYI.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
Especially if you have a wife that's
I'll
like,
turn
"Are
it
you dead
on.
yet?"
Yeah.
Mine will be like customers calling on the weekend,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, no. So it'll get turned on. It'll be cool, and then I'll get mad, and then it'll get turned off like the same trip.
Yeah, but it's a cool feature. I mean, it's nice.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe they'll
But no,
update it
the-
to where you can send text from it. Like
Voice
if it pops up, you
activated?
can.
That would
Yeah,
be cool.
that'd be dope. Like you can just leave your phone in a dry
Like
pack
in your
all
like
day.
in your like what you do in your truck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was those were fun texts. Hearing Siri say certain words was hilarious.
But I think the big takeaway from this app probably be deep dive.
Yeah.
Deep dive or my radar, honestly, because my radar really is a phenomenal weather app. But deep dive is, as far as the fishing, like what we're here talking about. I think that's a win. We need to. Have y'all tried to reach out to them?
I did, and they said they're interested later in the year. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we're not interested later in the year.
That's what I said. No, I didn't even reply back. So
Yeah.
it's whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
we'll try to get them on so we can because they can probably explain some features that we might not have gone into and then in depth a little bit more. But I mean, the app you brought up, the ISO Lunar, I mean, that's a great way to get way more scientific into fishing and hunting because it can be used for both. And then just pair that with my radar and pair it with deep dive. It gives you a full toolbox of
And then
tools you can
cash
use.
checks and win tournaments.
Booyah! And then they can be on your show.
Then they can be on my show. You can come over to the Reel Down and be like, I did everything you told me to do.
And I won.
The
And
Jimmy-
then at the
Jimmy's
Say
like,
then at
yeah,
the
give me
end-
half your check.
I was about to
Yeah.
say at the end, Jimmy's like, "Where's my commission check? Let's go."
Yeah, be like, finder fee, bro.
That's awesome. Oh man! All right, guys. Well, it's been fun. So,
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on. I was excited to talk about this one.
Oh,
So it was
anytime.
Matt. He was like, "Oh man, I was kind of bummed we didn't do it the other night."
Yeah, I was about to say I was trying to do it in the house we were staying at, which was a disaster. And then I went to a hotel and made the famous comment to Jimmy and Brad. I'm pretty sure this hotel gives me the same service on my phone that Alex Graham Bell did when he made the first one, because it was like trying to send a text and it was popping up little line.
Jeez.
Like 5 minutes later, it finally sent. Stupid.
Yeah, that does suck. But all right, man. Anything else you guys want to add real quick?
Good, dude.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Later.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode here on Paddle and Fin. Be sure to drop a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, or smash that subscribe button on any platform you're listening in on. Be sure to check us out on Waypoint TV, waypointtv.com. Make sure you sign up for the Fantasy Kayak Fishing League at paddleandfin.com/fantasy. You could support this show through Patreon, patreon.com/paddleandfin. Don't forget to check out the website, paddleandfin.com. Catch us on YouTube. If you got a question, comment, or want to see a future guest on the show, be sure to email us at paddleandfin@gmail.com. Shout out to our show supporters, Yak Gadget. You can check out all the fine kayak accessories at yakgadget.com. Pelican Professional. For all your cases, coolers, and lighting needs, go to pelican.com. Rocktown Adventures, your Midwest premier paddle sports destination. Go to rocktownadventures.com. Eastport Marina, the beautiful destination on Dale Hollow Lake. If you're looking for lodging, kayaks, kayak accessories, or anything fishing related on the beautiful Dale Hollow Lake, go to eastport.info. And Jigmasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com and fill your tackle boxes today.